Welcome to the Amateur Comedy Club Shakespeare event featuring Henry V. Our reading takes place in Act 4 of Henry V at the Battle of Agincourt. This is the 15th annual Shakespearean event of the Special Projects Committee of the Amateur Comedy Club. Special Projects Committee. We hope our next production and special project will be free from the concern of exposure to the COVID-19. And we hope for this concern to be over and we shall all be healthy, vaccinated, and able to be again live at the theater once more. And till then, we plan to be online using the Zoom technology to present our productions and sometimes on YouTube. We now begin the presentation from Henry V. Read from script and in certain speeches, we are blessed to have our premier Shakespearean actor who has inspired us to continue the Shakespearean event every year. And the introduction is of Herbert Gould. Mr. Gould.
Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. Pardon, gentles all, this soft, gentle spirit to bring forth on this unworthy scaffold so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram into this wooden O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt? Upon your imaginative forces work. Suppose within the portals of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high up and in the budding fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man and make an imaginary army. Think, when we talk of horses, you see them printing their proud hooves into the receiving earth. For it's your thoughts that now must deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er time, turning the accomplishments of many years into an hourglass, from which supply admit me, chorus to this history, a prologue like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
Richard II, an anointed king of England, was brutally deposed by his cousin Bolingbroke, who snatched the crown to become Henry IV. Shakespeare's play Henry IV featured the mischievous Prince Hal, who upon Henry IV's death transformed to noble, dedicated, godly King Henry V. The play opens with Henry's plea to the barons and the Bishop of Canterbury to assemble an army to reclaim the lands of France that had formerly belonged to the English throne. The play opens with Henry and the barons plea to assemble an army to reclaim. An army of 12,000 soldiers was assembled, with 4,000 knights and 8,000 archers, and landing in Normandy besieged the seaport city of Harfleur, meeting intense resistance frustrated by defiance and dysentery.
Once more in the breach, dear friends, once more, a close a walk with our English dead. In peace, nothing so becomes a man at modest stillness and humility. When the blast of war blows in your ears, imitate the action of a tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. Then, lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it pry through the portals overhead like a blast cannon. Now set the teeth, that widen nostrils, hold hard the breath, bend up every spirit to its full height. On, you noble English, whose blood was fet by fathers of war proof. Fathers who, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts fought till mortally, even sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers, detest here now that those whom you call fathers did beget you. Be competent men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeomen, whose limbs were made in England, show us the metal of your pasture. Swear to us now you're worth your breeding, which I doubt not, for there's not one of you so mean or base, hath not noble luster in his eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, staining at the start. Gain the foot, follow your spirit, and upon his charge cry, God for Henry, England, and St. George!
Henry's army conquers Harfleur, and Henry V makes a royal decision to march to the English-held city of Calais and suspend fighting for winter, however. At the village of Agincourt, he is confronted by one of the greatest armies ever assembled in the Middle Ages, comprised of the great nobles of France on their war horses and mercenaries using a limited range bows, which are no match for the English longbow. The English army is half-starved, dysenteric, opposed by a fresh army numbering 6-1. From Agincourt, the English army can easily see across the muddled battlefield the horrendous vision of doom if they join in battle the fresh French army on horseback with a great many mercenaries on foot. Now, entertain the conjecture of time.
Entertain conjecture of a time when the crawling murmurs and the pouring dark fills the vast vessel of the universe. From camp to camp, through the foul womb of night, the hum of either army steady sounds, and the fixed sentinels almost receive the secret whispers of each other's watch. Fire answered fire, and through the paly flame, each battle sees the other's umbered face. Steed threatens steed in high and boastful neighs, piercing the night's dull ear, and in the tents the armorers, accomplishing the knights with busy hammers, putting rivets through, give dreadful note of preparation. Confident in their souls, the overconfident and secure in their hearts, the confident and overlusty French do the low-rated English play at dice and chide the crippled half-gated knight that like a foul and ugly witch doth creep so tediously away. The poor condemned English, sitting by their sacrificial fires, sit patiently and inly ruminate on the morning's danger, investing lank, lean cheek, war-worn coats, projecting into the gazing moon so many horrid ghosts.
And we repair to the English camp at Agincourt. Enter King Henry, Bedford, Gloucester.
Gloucester, 'tis true we are in great danger, the greater therefore should be our courage be. Oh, good morrow, brother Bedford, God almighty. There is some soul of goodness in things evil, would men observingly distill it out. For our bad neighbor makes us early stirrers, which is both beautiful and good husbandry. Besides, they are our outward consciences, and preaches to us all, admonishing that we should dress us fairly for our end, Thus may we gather honey from the weed and make a moral of the devil himself.
And enters Sir Eppingham.
Hey, good morning, old Sir Thomas Eppingham. Good soft pillow for the good white head. We're better than a churlish turf of France.
Not so, my liege. This lodging likes me better, since I may say now lie I like a king.
'Tis good for men to love their present pains upon example, so spirit is eased. And when the mind is quickened out of doubt, the organs, though defunct and dead before, break up their drowsy grave and newly move with casted slough and fresh legerity. Oh, lend me thy cloak, Sir Thomas. Brothers both, commend me to the princes in our camp. Do my good morrow to them, and anon desire them to my pavilion.
We shall, my liege.
Shall I attend your grace?
No, my good knight. Go with my brothers to the lords of England, and I, my bosom, must debate a while, and then I would no other company.
The Lord in heaven bless thee, noble Harry.
God have mercy, O heart, thou speakest cheerfully.
Enter Sir Pistal.
Oui, voilà.
A friend.
Discuss unto me Arthur officer or Arthur base, common and popular.
Oh, I am a gentleman of a company.
Trail through the puissant pike.
Even so, what are you?
As good a gentleman as the emperor.
Then you're better than the king.
The king is a buckcock and a heart of gold, a lot of life and an imp of fame, of parents good, of fists most valiant. I kiss his dirty shoe, and from heartstring I love the lovely bully. What is thy name?
Harry Leroy.
Leroy? A Cornish name. Arthur of Cornish crew?
No. I am a Welshman.
Knows du Fluellen?
Yes.
Tell him I will knock his lick about his partay upon St. David's Day.
Do not wear your dagger in your cap that day, lest he knock that about yours.
Arthur his friend?
And his kinsman too.
The figure for thee then.
I thank you. God be with you.
My name is Pistol Cold.
Exit Sir Pistol.
Starts well with your fierceness.
Enter Llewellyn and Gower.
Captain Fluellen.
So, in the name of Jesus Christ, speak lower. It is the greatest admiration of the universal world when the true and ancient prerogatives and laws of the wars is not kept. If you would take the pains but to examine the wars of Pompey the Great, you shall find, I warn you, that there's no tittle-tattle nor people-pobble in Pompey's camp. I warn you, you shall find the ceremonies of the wars and the cares of it and the forms of it and the subtlety of it and the modesty of it to be otherwise.
Why, the enemy is loud. You hear him all night.
If the enemy is an ass and a fool and a prancing coxcomb, it is meet, think you, that we should also look you be an ass and a fool and a prancing coxcomb. You're unconscious now?
I will speak lower.
I pray you and beseech you that you will.
Gower and Llewellyn exit.
Though it appears a little out of fashion, there's much care and valor in this Welshman.
Brother
Enter
John
Sir Bates, Alexander Court, and Michael Williams. Brother John Bates, is not that the morning which breaks yonder?
I think it be, but we have no great cause to desire the approach of day.
We see yonder the beginning of the day, but I think we shall never see the end of it. Who goes there?
Friend,
Under what captain serve you?
under Sir Thomas Uppingham.
Oh, a good old captain and a most kind gentleman. I pray you, What thinks he of our estate?
Even if men wrecked upon a sand that looked to be washed off the next tide.
He had not told his thought to the king.
No, nor is it not meet he should. For though I speak it to you, I think the king is but a man, as I am. The violet smells to him as it doth to me. The element shows to him as it doth to me. All his senses have but human conditions. The ceremony is laid by, in his nakedness he appears but a man. And though his affections are higher mounted than ours, yet when they stoop with the like wing. Therefore, when he sees the reason of fears, as we do, his fears, out of doubt, be of the same relish as ours are, yet in reason no man should possess him with any appearance of fear, lest by showing it should disarm and dishearten.
But he may show what outward courage he will. But I believe as cold as night as 'tis, he could wish himself in the Thames up to the neck. And so would I, he were I by him at all adventures. So we were quit here.
By my troth, I will speak my conscience of the king. I think he would not wish himself anywhere but where he is.
Then I would he were here alone. So should he be to be ransomed, and many a poor man's lives saved.
I dare say you love him not so ill to wish him here alone. Howsoever you speak this to feel other men's minds, methinks I could not die anywhere so contented as in the king's company, his cause being just and his quarrel honorable.
Well, that's more than we know.
Aye, or more than we should seek after, for we know enough. If we know we're the king's subjects, if his cause be wrong, our obedience to the king's wipe the crime of it out of us.
But if the cause be not good, the king himself hath a heavy reckoning to make. When all those legs and arms and heads chopped off in battle shall join together in the latter day and cry all, we died in such a place. Some swearing, some crying for a surgeon, some upon their wives left poor behind them, some upon the debts they owe, some upon their children rawly left. I am afeard there are few die well that die in a battle, for how can they charitably dispose of anything when blood is their argument? Now, if these men do not die well, it will be a black matter for the king that led them to it, whom to disobey were against all proportion of subjection.
So if a son that is by his father set about merchandise do sinfully miscarry upon the sea, the imputation of his wickedness by your rule should be imposed upon the father that sent him. Or if a servant under his master's command transporting a sum of money be assailed by robbers and die in many irreconciled iniquities, you may call the business of the master the author of the servant's damnation. But this is not so. The king is not bound to answer the particular endings of his soldiers, the father of his son, nor the master of his servant, for they purpose not their death when they purpose their services. Besides, there is no king, be his cause never so spotless, if it come to the arbitment of swords, can try it out all with unspotted soldiers. Some peradventures have on them the guilt of premeditated and contrived murder, some of beguiling virgins with the broken seals of perjury, some making the wars with their bulwarks that have before gored a gentle bosom of peace with pillage and robbery. Now, if these men have defeated the law and outrun native punishments, though they can outstrip men, they have no wings to fly from God. War is his beetle, war is vengeance, so that here men are punished for before breach, of the king's laws, and now the king's quarrel. Where they feared the death, they have borne life away, and where they would be safe, they perish. Then if they die unprovided, no more is the king guilty of their damnation than he was before guilty of those impieties for which they are now visited. Every subject's duty is the king's, but every subject's soul is his own. Therefore should every soldier in the wars do as every sick man in his bed. Wash every mote out of his conscience, and dying so, death is to him advantage. Or not dying, the time was blessedly lost, wherein such preparation was gained, and in him that escapes. It were not sin to think that making God so free an offer, he let him outlive that day to see his greatness and to teach others how they should prepare.
'Tis certain, every man that dies ill, the ill is upon his own head. The king is not to answer it.
But I do not desire he should answer for me, and yet I determined to fight lustily for him.
I myself have heard the king say he would not be ransomed.
Aye, he said so to make us fight cheerfully. But when our throats are cut, he may be ransomed, and we ne'er the wiser.
If I live to see it, I will never trust his word again.
You pay him then. That's a perilous shot out of an elder gun, that a poor and private displeasure can do against a monarch. You may as well go about to turn the sun to ice, with the fanning in its face of a peacock's feather. You'll never trust his word come after. 'Tis a foolish saying.
Your reproof is something too round. I should be angry with you if the time were convenient.
Well, let it be a quarrel between us then, if you live.
I embrace it.
How shall I know thee?
Give me thy gage of thine, and I will wear it in my bonnet. Then, if ever thou darest acknowledge it, I will make it my quarrel.
Here's my glove. Give me another of thine.
There.
This will I also wear in my cap. If ever thou comest to me and say after, tomorrow, this is my glove, by this hand I will take thee and box thee on the ear.
If ever I live to see it, I will challenge it.
Thou darest well be hanged.
Well, I will do it, though I take thee in the king's company.
Keep thy word. Fare thee well.
Be friends, you English fools. Be friends. We have French quarrels enough. If you could tell how to reckon.
Oh, indeed, the French may lay 20 French crowns for one, they will beat us, for they bear them on their shoulders, but it's no English treason to cut French crowns, and tomorrow the king himself will be a clipper.
And then the soldiers leave the king by himself.
Upon the king let us our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children, and our sins lay on the king. We must bear all, oh, hard condition. Twin born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool, whose sense no more can feel but his own ringing. What infinite heart's ease must kings neglect, that private men enjoy? And what of kings that privates have not too, save ceremony, save general ceremony? What kind of God art thou that sufferest more mortal griefs than do thy worshippers? What are thy rents? What are thy comings in? O ceremony, show me but thy worth. What is thy soul of adoration? What thou art else but place, degree, and form, creating awe and fear in other men. Whether thou art less happy tiered than being fearing, what drinkest thou oft instead of homage sweet? O poison flattery, O be sick great greatness, and bid thy ceremony give thee cure. Think'st thou the fiery fever will go out with titles blown from adulation? Will it give place to flexure and low bending? Canst thou, when thou commandest the beggar's knee, command the health of it? No, thou proud dream that playest so subtly with the king's repose. I am a king that find thee, and I know 'tis not the balm, the scepter, and the ball, the sword and the mace, pearl, the farced title, running for the king, the throne he sits on, nor the tide of pomp that beats upon the high shore of this world. No, not all these thrice gorgeous ceremony. No, all these laid in bed majestical can sleep so soundly as the wretched slave who with a body filled and vacant mind gets him to rest, crammed with distressful bread. Never sees horrid night, the child of hell, but like a lackey from the riots, it sets sweats in the eye of Phoebus, and all night sleeps in Elysium. Next day after dawn doth rise and help Hyperion to the horse, and so follows till the ever-running year with a profitable labor to his grave. And but for ceremony, such a wretch, winding up days with toil and nights with sleep, has the forehand advantage of a king. The slave, a member of the country's peace, enjoys it, but in gross brain little wots what watch the king keeps to maintain the peace, whose hours the peasant best advantages.
And enters Sir Uppingham.
My lord, your nobles, jealous of your absence, seek through your camp to find you.
Good old knight, collect them all together at my tent. I'll be there for thee.
I shall do it, my lord.
And Effingham departs.
O God of battles, I steel my soldiers' hearts. Possess them not with fear. Take from them now the sense of reckoning. If the opposing numbers pluck their hearts from them, not today. Oh Lord, oh no, no, not today. Think not upon the fault my father made and come passing the crown. I, which his body have interred anew, and on it have bestowed more contrite tears, from it issued force drops of blood. 500 poor I have in yearly pay, who twice a day their withered hands hold up towards heaven to pardon blood. And I have built 2 chantries where the sad and solemn priests sing still for Richard's soul. More will I do, though all I can do is nothing more worth, since that my penitence comes after all, imploring pardon.
Enters Sir Gloucester.
My liege.
Oh, my brother is Gloucester's voice. I know thy errand, I will go with thee. Today, my friends, in all things stay for me.
And exit Gloucester. Westmoreland and Salisbury enter.
Where is the king?
The king himself is rode to view their battle.
Of fighting men, they have full 70,000.
There's 5 to 1 beside. They all are fresh.
God's arm strike with us. 'Tis a fearful odds. God be with you, princes all. I'll to my charge. If we no more meet till we meet in heaven, then joyfully, my noble lord of Bedford, my dear Lord Gloucester, and my good Lord Exeter, and my kind kinsmen, warriors all, adieu.
Farewell, good Salisbury, and good luck go with thee.
Farewell, kind lord, fight valiantly today, and yet do I thee wrong to mind thee of it, for thou art famed of the truth of valor.
He is full of valor as of kindness, princely in both.
Enter the king.
Oh, that we now had here but 1/10,000 of those men in England that do no work today.
But he that wishes so, my cousin Westmoreland? No, no, my fair cousin, if we are marked to die, we are enow to do our country's loss, and if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear, such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. No faith, my coz, wish not a man from England God's peace. I would not lose so great an honor as one man more. The things I would share from me for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispin. Those who outlive this day would come safe to home will stand a tiptoe when this day is named and rouse himself in the name of Crispin. All men forget, all may be forgot. But he will not forget the deeds he did that day, and then the names, as familiar in the mouth as household words. Bedford and Exeter, Salisbury and Talbot, Warwick and Gloucester shall in their feeble cups be freshly remembered. This story the good man will teach his son, and Crispin Crispian will ne'er go by from this day to the end of the world, that we in it shall be really remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he who sheds his blood with me today shall be my brother. Nay, he be so vile this day, shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed will think themselves accursed they will not hear when he that hold their manhoods cheap, when he speaks, who fought with us on St. Crispin's Day.
And though outnumbered 6-1, the archers with their long bow, long range armor piercing arrows, shot 10 arrows a minute as in a machine gun valley, decimated the French chivalry with 2,000 French dead on the muddy battlefield, with barely 100 English dead, and ended chivalric tradition of the medieval warfare for all and then. And we bring an end to our reading and historical lesson. Good night, all.